All right, let's assemble, boys. This is gate 4 of Voldis guide. And I'm going to go from start to the end, talking about the major mechanics and major tips. And then we're going to go through different videos to see if I can find specific patterns that will actually causes a lot of wipes, right? That's like the plan here. So I'm going to look at my Shadowhunter play and talk about the major mechanics and then major tips that you could utilize to help you clear the raid. So at the very beginning, he's going to stand still in the middle. Sometimes he does counter, so you should keep an eye on that too. Okay, so first mechanic, when you reach about 160 and under, it could be a little bit higher than 160, the NPC is going to talk and then he's going to teleport to the middle. Something that is important to keep you guys in mind is if you're under 10 minutes and 30 seconds, you are in a very danger zone. If you think that your DPS is pretty decent, because he's doing normal patterns the whole time, and the normal patterns actually don't change as much until the whole raid. So in order for you to practice your overall DPS uptime, you kind of want to check that if your team is in a good pace. Is most teams are going to be about 12 minutes. This is 12:41 because we are very, very strong. 11-ish minutes is also fine, but if you're like kind of going under 10 minutes 30, you're a little bit in the danger zone, so keep that in mind. Okay, so in this mechanic, all you need to do is stand ×3 because there are going to be mirrors spawning, and what he does is he creates pizzas, and 2 fake pizzas will spawn under your feet. It will be aimed at you, and 1 large pizza that glows differently will appear. So this is the fake pizza, 1, 2, and the real pizza is gonna come out, and this is like much thicker line, and when these lines match to at the end, it will explode. So what your goal is, you need to aim this pizza at the mirror, right? And then if you successfully do it, it's going to get 1 mark over here. This gold orb means that you successfully done it, and then you have to rotate either clock or counterclockwise. The reason why we're rotating counterclockwise or clockwise is because you need 1 unique player need to aim the pizza at the mirror 3 times. Therefore, if I'm going to aim the first pizza at 3 o'clock, the next pizza is going to be at 6, and the next pizza is going to be at 9. So I'm giving 1 stack each to the mirror. And this is Saint Tone, by the way. Saint Tone starts from 6 o'clock. He's going to put the giant pizza on the 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then 12 o'clock. That'll be 2 stacks each, right? And then the player from the 12 o'clock is going to rotate as well. So the 3 o'clock one is going to be attack 3 times as well, right? So everyone kind of rotates and hits all the pizzas equally. So when you see this as a whole, I'll tell you tips after this. Is the second pizza here. See, I'm standing still, and then explodes. Fake pizza, and then the real pizza. And you aim it at the mirror. And if you do it correctly, the mirrors will be destroyed, and then you'll be staggering. And destroying these mirrors are very important, because if you destroy them, you get a stagger buff. Like, you get to do additional stagger. So if you destroy these mirrors properly, you have enough stagger. You generally have enough stagger to do any mechanics, right? That's like the tip. For example, if you do stagger before getting the buff, you do way less. So keep in mind that make sure you get the stagger buff first and then stagger. This is very, very important. And then when you stagger it, you get to move to the next phase, but you also have additional 4 mirrors that you can destroy as well. A team with a lot of stagger divide in teams of 2 to, like, let's say 1 and 2 go for mirror 5, and then 3 and 4 go for mirror 7. And if you destroy these additional mirrors, what do you get? You get additional stagger buff for the team, right? And then you get, as far as I know, you get a little bit of damage boost too. So what happens is if you throw the whirlwind bomb, it destroys a mirror. Now, this is very important, because if you fail this mechanic, what happens is, I will show you here. If the mirror is not staggered, it will destroy and make this platform empty. So what this means is, if you get hit by this particular boss, which is the yellow attack, remember it's yellow attack only, by around here that the platform is destroyed, you get fall death. So it is very important to keep these platforms keep intact. So Usually when you do it perfectly, if you have a high stagger team, your 5 and 7 o'clock will be safe, and 11 and 1 o'clock will be destroyed. And the reason why we save the 5 and 7 o'clock is because this is top down, and then you have the UI down here, right? So you want to fight a little bit down so that you have vision here. That's actually the reason why we choose the bottom side. Additional tips. Most people are going to be having problems doing these particular mirrors. The yellow attack is going to knock you over, and getting hit by these fake pizzas are going to decrease your attack power, and it does enough damage to actually kill you because it's going to knock you over, and then you use your spacebar to get up, you get hit again, and then you get knocked over, and then you die from the second attack. So you don't want that to happen. If this is fan shaped, right here in the front is safe, right? So I'm safe here. The yellow is not going to attack you. And then you move a little bit. That's all you need to do. It's super simple. You don't need to move around too much. You don't need to use your movement skills. Moving more is actually worse than moving less, okay? Now the fake pizza. Now the ring one is a little bit tricky because a lot of people are going to get hit by the ring one. The ring one, stand close to the mirror, right? Inside. The yellow explosion always explodes before the pizza. Most people don't know this. So here, if you ever see the ring, make sure you stay inside. See the yellow explosion first. Walk a little closer so that you have less room to cover in distance, like that, like how I did it. And I used the movement skill here because I wasn't 100% sure. You can use your spacebar as well, but movement skill is always first before spacebar because your spacebar is very important, right? I move it over, and then you have another fake. Now, I got the ring again, but the cross, you have a cross too. So this is 3 variables. This is the third variable, which is the cross. All right, so for the cross pattern, right? For my gunslinger, we have the cross here. So what's important is, look at me standing right there, right? You have enough distance to cover the whole pizza anyway. So what you do is you kind of stand a little bit outside of it, and then you move over to a closer, get that distance, and then you just spacebar. Like you can just simply tap away as well. All right, so after the mechanic, you're dropping the boss to about 110 lines. And before dropping it to 110 lines, you guys will see this at least once here. So when you see like a big cloud, like cosmic force thing kind of stuff, it's like a big purple cloud, you can't miss it. When it happens, it will generate a purple orb in the map randomly. So if this purple orb is not taken, it's going to explode in a very large yellow radius, and it's going to destroy all the platforms that is near it. And the reason why platform is very, very important is if all the platforms are destroyed, the boss goes semi-berserk. And he actually moves way faster and does way more damage. So you can kind of consider that he is like almost in berserk phase, and you can't clear it. Almost that kind of level. So it's very important for you to keep the platforms up as much as you can, and I will show you how to recover some platforms too. So look at that. Use the space bar there, because if you eat the purple orb as it is, you get rooted, and you need to get freed by getting attacked, as in like just like how you get rooted for Braille Gate 3 or something. And after the first mechanic, right? See, these mirrors will spin around, and then it will have various variations of yellow attacks. And this is one of the more annoying ones, the big fan one of the yellow. And remember, if you get hit by the yellow attack, you get fall death. So for example, when you're running this raid, when you're progging, make sure to dodge yellows first. So keep in mind, all the yellows, always dodge it because that's an actual instant kill potential attacks, right? So when you're trying to figure out what to dodge first, always dodge the yellow warning signs. Okay, so when you reach 100 to 110 lines, sometimes it goes earlier. He teleports to the middle again, and then the NPC talks again. So this one was a lot confusing when it just came out. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mirrors spawning around. So what he does is the boss will either fake stab or actually stab the mirror to spawn his clone of sword to counter, make an explosion to decrease your stagger. As in, like, when you get stagger buffs, when you destroy the mirrors, right? You get the stagger buff. It's going to reset the stagger buff. So what he does is he stabs the mirror, and then when the sword going through is done, he will spawn his clone sword, and your job is to counter it, right? And when you counter, you get a cooldown reduction. So you see me countering it, and then I get a reset of cooldown. So I can counter again with my art skill. Now he's gonna do it again. This one is also real. So what I do here is I counter this one as well. General rule of thumb is based on your party number. You kind of see the Koreans go 1 1 2 2 3 3 4 4. That is because we are taking mirrors by the party number. So first 2 mirrors are going to be taken care of by me. The next 2 mirrors are going to be taken care of by the Deadeye, and the next 2 mirrors are going to be taken care of by the Sharpshooter, and the next 2 mirrors are going to be taken care of by Bard. So what is my mirrors of responsibility? It will be the 5 o'clock and then the 9 o'clock version. So the second one, we have Saint here. This is the fake one. So what he does is he kind of taps it. I will explain how to figure out which mirror is the real one and which mirror is the not the fake one. Okay. So this is Saints, and then he doesn't need to worry about it because this is a fake one, right? And since it's the real one, by the third stab, the already stabbed real mirrors are going to spawn another red mark. For example, if I explain it a little bit more, is the reason why we don't take care of 2 mirrors each by a time clock is if the real mirror, right, is 1 and 2, and then if the third one is stabbed again at the 3 o'clock, and if this is my responsibility, both of them spawns at the same time, and only few classes can counter spacebar and counter again. 1 and 2 stabs are alternated, but the third stab is going to be synced with the first stab. Therefore, we organized it by party number of taking mirrors of responsibility. So since these 2 are the mirrors of my responsibilities, right? I counted the 5th one again, and all I need to do is just do some little stagger, and then go to 9 o'clock again to stagger my second mirror. So my job is going back and forth. So if you have someone that understands this strategy, make sure that they're higher number, as in their earlier number. So number 1 player should be aware of this mechanic they should understand as much as they can because they're going to be countering the most. And the 4th one is going to be doing only twice. Okay? Now, when you're done with it, right? When you're done with it, he's going to stab the ground and counter. What's important here is a lot of people wiped in Korea because we didn't do staggering in the middle while this mechanic is happening. So everyone was just standing still and trying to counter the mirror, right? But you can squeeze in a little bit of stagger in between. All the classes are different. For example, what I could do as a Shadow Hunter is I just counter and then use some of my skills and then go over. If I'm transformed, what I can do is I can use the W counter, and you can use A and S. And then you go over A and S and R, and then you can go over again and then counter. You can, to get your combinations in, you should practice. Like let's say you counter the mirror, make sure 1 or 2 biggest skills are used, and then you move to the next side. And when you do enough stagger in the middle, what is going to be very easy to clear, right? So by the time he hits his last mirror, he's going to stab the ground and start doing the actual stagger mechanic. So when he's doing the mechanic, he has higher stagger, and the stagger defense, we can call it stagger DR. Stagger DR is lifted when he's actually doing the large attack at the very end. So it'll be super easy to remove this much stagger. But even if he has full bar, this is still enough to do stagger because we have 6 stacks. We have never failed. So this is an example when it fails, is you have the real mirrors explode, and then this is the stagger buff, right? It just resets. For whatever the stack that you have, it just goes to 0, right? So it's very dangerous to fail any of the mirrors. So another good question was, what do you do if you're like number 3, 2, and 4, right? When they're doing the mirror, you just keep staggering in the middle until your time is up, right? So I'm kind of waiting until which mirror it is. And I'm waiting for my turn, right? So it's the second one, and I'm still staggering, and I know it's my turn now. So I'm waiting for it, and then this is the real one, so I countered it, and then I go back, and since it's my turn, I go try to counter it as well. Here's the information on how to figure out if the mirror is real or fake. So this is how you figure it out. There's 3 ways to do it. You can use whatever way you want, okay? So you can tell by the projectile's color. You can tell by the animation of the boss. And you can also tell by sound. So this is the fake one. So fake one, his animation, he kind of taps the mirror. But this is hard to see if he does it on 12, 1, or 11 o'clock because you can't tell because he's looking up. So this is not like the best way to do it. And the second one is if the sword is black when it comes out, it's fake. So you cannot counter this. If you counter this, it's going to explode and reset your stack. So, and for sound, it doesn't make any sound, right? Now let's look at the real one. The real one is he does a stab, like a fast stab into it. The animation is way different. So he does that. And for sound, he makes the stabbing sound too. So he just makes like the sound, right? Let's hear it again. You heard that, right? So he makes that sound. That means it's real. So that's another way to find out if you're actually listening to the sound effects. And since he stabs into the mirror, it's real. And the projectile is going to be red. So that is the 3 ways to figure out which mirror is a fake one and the real one. So another thing that we need to talk about is during the fight, whenever he is staggered, right? So we're going to stagger him here. He's going to get a destruction point on. So this destruction point is a lot smaller than you think. So unless it's very close to 60 bars, you can use the destruction bomb. But when you're about to be 60 bars, never use your destruction bomb. So this is just a little bit of tip. I will explain it later, okay? So when he gets the destruction thing and then you added a little bit of destruction points, I think this is definitely under like 6 for sure. What he does is he explodes. You get a little bit of buff, and then the NPC will talk to you. So what happens is he will going to spit out a blood orb, and this blood orb is aimed at the closest target when it moves. For example, you see the the Reaper here. He's doing DPS, right? Because this is a DPS timing. So by the time when this orb appears, the Reaper dashed away. The reason why he dashed away is to make sure that the support, which is me, to get the orbs aggro. So look at that. The orb is aggro to me now, and the DPS will go in to do rest of the DPS. This is very important when you're progging. You move around, you kite the orb, and when you get hit by the orb, what happens is it creates a fan shape of explosion in front of you. So since the orb is going to impact where I am, the fan shape is going to be here, right? So look at that. Boom, right? And if you use the fan shape to aim at the tower here, it's going to regen the platform. It will look like a little Zerg platform. Looks like a Zerg and you can't recover 2 platforms, by the way, but so make sure you stand about. So the actual maximum distance is where this is, the symbol. So it's like you can stand like about here, and then it's still enough. So let's say the boss is like staggered right here. Everyone kind of stands behind them and then just keep doing full DPS. You can do that too. But when you're in a specific situation where he's kind of far away and you want to recover like 12 or 11 or etc., it is important for you to take the orb to recover as many platforms as you can. So one thing that's good, good question is this orb explosion. It doesn't do any damage. So this orb's explosion, the fan explosion's purpose is to recover any of the destroyed platforms. So the next mechanic, which is the last one, is going to start at 60 bars, exactly at 60 bars. So when it's at 60 bars, it is crucial for you guys to communicate that 60 bar is coming because it's a very tight stagger, and you need to do destructions right away as well. So when it's around 60 bars, make sure you save your major stagger skills. So what's going to happen is he's going to teleport to the middle at 60. Okay, so when it's at under 60 after one pattern, like when the pattern is finished, you will teleport, and mirrors will spawn at the plus position. And these mirrors are exactly 3 destruction points, and that's why we have to take destruction bombs at a mandatory thing, and then one of them is either a dark bomb or a whirlwind bomb. As soon as you see the mark, you throw the bomb to destroy the mirrors. So number one reason why if you lack stagger is because you didn't destroy the mirrors fast enough. And then when it explodes, you're going to get the stagger buff, right? And what's important here is this is the number two reason. People rotate. You see how I am not, you see how I'm waiting and then throwing it after I got the stagger buff? Right? You have to stagger when you get the stagger buff. So it is not as important when you have 4 players in the team because you have a lot more stagger. But like, let's say when you're missing one person, you gotta make sure you get all the stagger buff and then you rotate your skills. The reason why you lack stagger is because before you get the stagger buff, the guy rotates all the skills, and let's say the mirror is broken very slowly, you get that last bit of buff too slow. That's the reason why you guys wipe on this stagger mechanic. You guys will wipe a lot, and if you're thinking of why you're wiping, it's because of number 1, the mirror's not broken fast enough, and number 2, you were staggering it before getting the buff. Very, very simple. Okay? And now what's important here is when you're done with the stagger, it is super crucial to save your destruction skills. Because when you're done with the stagger, he's going to spawn an orb in front of him, and this requires destruction points. So sometimes what happens is you use all the skills, and then this comes out. We don't have destruction bombs to use, and we were yelling like, "You gotta do destruction, whatever," right? That's when you kind of wipe, because if you don't destroy his sword, you're going to wipe. So maybe like 1 point per player, and then it's completely enough to actually do the destruction. But that's the thing is to keep in mind is save your weak point skills and save your stagger skills too. Okay, so when you successfully destroy it, he's going to fire a purple tether on a random player, usually the closest one. What this tether can be done is exactly like Broshazo Gate 4. You can intercept the tether to change the target. At the beginning of this raid, make sure you decide who is going to be the tether, because the tether player has a very important job. Usually, as for tether players, right? It's usually the players that are not support, because support needs to do the other mechanic. It's usually the players that are like Hitmaster or Entropy, actually. Entropy classes. And I will explain why later, okay? But usually it doesn't matter who does tether. This is super important. This explosion will happen under your feet 3 times. You don't need to move that much. So, you see I'm standing still? Explosion happens. I can just click 1, 2, right? And the third explosion, he's going to do the grab. So the first person who wants to go in needs to get grabbed on purpose. So this is the sharpshooter. He gets grabbed, and he's going to throw the sharpshooter somewhere else to me, actually, right? So because I'm marked at it. So you see how he's aimed at me, correct? So what my job is, I need to stand in one of these mirrors and throw my teammate into the mirror, like that. The timing is super simple. So you kind of see it explode when you see it move. When you see it move, and when you see the pizza indicator disappear, that is when you can move. So look at that. The pizza indicator disappeared, so I can just move. I can walk away. I don't even need to use a space bar. And then he gets thrown away to the mirror. Now, for those of you who are getting thrown away, let me give you a tip for variance. As in, like, let's say your teammate screwed up, and then he's throwing you this way. You can actually use your space bar, a safe fall, and then go inside the portal. So you can actually save the day if you want. Like, let's say he throws you and you use a safe bar to go inside the dimension. That actually works. Now, this is the second one. 1, right? 2, right? And 3. So, the third explosion, here's the tip. So some people who are wondering like what I'm like supposed to, I'm kind of worried, etc. The third explosion happens after the grab. So if you dodge 2 explosions, you can just stand in the middle, right in front of the boss's head, to get grabbed. Because the third explosion will never happen. under your feet. So you see how he grabbed him, and then the explosion happened afterwards. So this Bard over here got hit by my pool, right? So he got knocked over, but the third explosion never happened, and then he gets grabbed, right? Now he grabs it, and he throws it at the 9 o'clock because I aimed it over there. Also, this thing will also help you not have a stupid wipe. When he does a grab, even if 2 people are in the grab animation, he doesn't grab 2 people. He grabs one. He grabs one person out of the 2. So if you guys are like kind of confused about who's going in first or whatever, you can kind of go in and then try to get grabbed. Because if he grabs nobody, the mechanic fails. The reason why this mechanic is very important because all 3 people need to go in to kill the boss inside, which I will show you in a bit. And when you're on item level with no elixirs, you need all 3 players to be in there to kill him. It's actually a very tight DPS window. So he does not grab every time at 6. That's a good question. He grabs at the position where he threw. So he's going to start the grab animation at 9 o'clock, right? Because he threw 9 o'clock. So look at that. 1, 2, right? And then 3. And then Saint is getting grabbed here. And then I'll throw him at 3 o'clock. Boom. Okay. Then your job is done. And then you can fight the boss outside, but generally you'll wait. And for those of you who are outside, but still doing the stagger afterwards, make sure you save your skills too. And again, the grab is always at the head position, so just make sure to stay at the head position after the third explosion. Well, second explosion. You can go in earlier than you think. So this is a good example of going in. So look at that. So he got destroyed. He's looking at 6 o'clock. Right? 1, 2. You see the 2 explosions, but you see me standing on right in front of him, right? Because I know the third explosion will never happen. So I get grabbed, I get thrown away, and if you're inside, you're going to fight a random guardian inside. There's like Calvintus, there's like Bertus, like whatever, like all those guys. It is important for the strongest player to go inside first. That's because the DPS mark in this particular fight is very, very tight. And the second person is always going to be the support. So it'll be DPS, support, and then DPS again. So you know I'm inside, all you need to do is just kill this guy. This is just a regular fight. And one tip that I have here is when you're the first one in here, you kind of want to play a little bit conservative because you can do more DPS when after the support gets in. And then he actually hits the Guardians hit like a truck too. So you got to watch out for that. Like if you just go in and then die in a couple hits, it's actually pretty smoch. So your job is to fight him, and then everyone gets in, and then you're fighting him, and you're fighting him, right? And then when he's dead, by the time the dial is gone, because this is the timer dial. When this disappears, you wipe, okay? When you destroy him before the timer dial runs out, right? Now he's going to stay in the middle, and he's going to grab one player. Right? And after the grab, you're going to stagger him. Right? And after the stagger, you're done with the mechanics. You're done with all the mechanics from this point, and then you'll just fight him to 0. Now, here's the tip for the grab. So this grab here, it's always 9 o'clock or 6 o'clock. The fan is always 9 o'clock or 6 o'clock, okay? So all you need to do is stand around 7 and move back and forth. Because sometimes... you know how you get scared where he's like kind of rotating back and forth like this? Like, you know how he's rotating back and forth to trick you, right? He will always do the grab here, here, or here. So if you're just standing around this side, you'll never fail to get grabbed. The person who is getting grabbed is the class with the lowest stagger. Okay, so when you're done with the 60 bar mechanic, one time when he is about 35, he's going to go to the middle again and try to destroy the mirror. So most of the classes, most of the groups that does by a reclear, you just DPS in the middle, right? We were just DPSing in the middle, right? But if you want to, sometimes you can save one of the mirrors because the mirrors are going to explode, right? It's the same as the 160 bar mechanic. So the mirrors explode and a bunch of platforms gets destroyed, right? So this is where he's going to be in a Berserk phase. For example, all of his normal patterns or like his general patterns are going to be upgraded. And in a moment of time passes, he's going to make a map-wide explosion. So he's going to do a map-wide explosion soon. Boom, just like that. And then this stack will be 26. So he's going to do a map-wide explosion 26 times, but generally he dies before that. So what is important for support players to do is this map-wide explosion happens like under 10 seconds. As far as I know, it's under 10 seconds. And it's important for you to do shield care, DR, awakening, or anything, or heals, or anything that you can do, because this map-wide explosion can't be dodged, right? And it's going to happen every time. So like, you know, it explodes even if when it's staggered. So in this section, we're going to talk about one of the more important major mechanic, like major normal cycling mechanics and normal patterns. This boss has additional attacks if you get hit. Now that we are seeing this particular attack, this is the tips here. So this attack, he just choose one aggro and he rotates, right? He rotates, and he'll do a stab. And if you get hit by this particular stab, you will get grabbed and you will get shot off. So this is another good example. When he stabs the sword on the ground, he will do like some sort of breakdance. And when this breakdance is a line attack, he does two at once. And these are stack damage, chat. These are stack damages. If you stand and get hit by like 3 of them, you will die instantly. So make sure you dodge these. So when he's doing a breakdance, make sure you dodge, because it's going to be aimed. Like these are all aimed. And afterwards, if it's the line explosion version, there's a circle explosion version and then the line explosion version. The line explosion version is going to get a grab effect, which is the purple effect. And it's going to create a safe spot for the ring. And if you get grabbed, you will do the minigame. And if you fail the minigame, you won't die though. But if you fail the minigame, he does an additional attack. But if you succeed the minigame, you have a really good DPS time. Okay? So the other player's job is to get to the middle safe spot, and you have enough time to get there. Okay? So it explodes, and then you're going to do DPS. Now here's my general tips after when the mirrors appear. So what he does is he will stand still, he will charge up, and then he will explode. So this is just a DPS angle here. He will spawn mirrors. So when you guys see mirrors, the mirrors do yellow attacks all the time. The boss does yellow and red attacks. Focus on mirrors first. So when the mirrors spin around like crazy like this, right? You can ignore the mirrors. I said focus on the mirrors, but you can ignore it here. When the mirrors stop, there are variations. So this is a fan variation. I mean, this is a donut variation, sorry. So this is donut variation. You look at the yellow first and then dodge the red. Does that make sense? Because what's very important for you is these mirrors yellow attacks can knock you off and kill you, but the boss can't. So sometimes the most bullshit thing that most people say during this prog is when the boss does a shitty pattern, and then the mirrors also do a shitty pattern. That's when most people die, and that's where the experiences come from. But after when the mirrors are exploding, right, he will rotate the mirrors again. And then the mirror will stop again. And this is the small circle version, right? This is the small circle yellow version. So I look at the yellow effect first, and then I dodge the red. Right? So when there's mirrors, right, there's that big ring mirror. This is another variation. So this is middle dangerous, and then you have the ring. So these spots are the most important ones. So when you kind of see the mirrors getting in position for the plus position is firing a laser, just stand in between any of these yellow rings, just staying a little bit close to it, because the center is going to explode. So when the mirrors appear, this is when you kind of focus on dodging more than doing DPS, because a lot of the classes get an animation stuck, get hit by the mirrors, get knocked off, and die. Now this is a very good one. So when he charges up, you will see two people lined up like this. The safe spot is the second warning sign. So look at your character. So the first one happened, Reaper, and the second one happened is the Scouter. So he's going to land on the Scouter. Okay? So from here, the line thing, you need to make sure you drop it off. It's like dropping the poop off, right? And these do at least 50k damage each tick. So you have to drop it off somewhere. And then you will have to gather up. And then the other player, which is me, will also generate a red warning sign. So it is important for everyone to be off to the center and come back in after the red warning sign appears. So since the scouter is the safe spot, this will happen here. This is so important because this kills so many groups. All right, so this is another variation of a special pattern when he does. What he does is he powers up and then he will fly. Just like the Vicus. This is like the Vicus attack. It slides away 1, and then 2, and then he's going to land, okay? So you dodge on the yellow spot or you're going to die because these are, again, the yellow attacks, right? Under 35 bars, he will dash 4 times. This is also the timed version, the grab. So this is, we call this like the War Dancer ult, right? This is the War Dancer ult grab. So what this mechanic is he dashes three times, and if you are in between his red warning sign, you're going to get grabbed and you'll get damaged the whole time. If you're on item level and then you have about half HP, you might actually die during this process if you get grabbed earlier on. And what he does is he teleports to the middle, and then he splits into plus or X position, and one of them is going to be the counter. So to figure out which is the real one, it already shows here, his HP bar is lower. So the HP bar is full on the clones, and then the one that's real, his HP bar is lower. But if you're grabbed, you can actually see the real one, so you can ping it if you want. Okay, and if you counter him, you can DPS as much as you can. Here's my tip on dodging this particular mechanic very easily. The map is an octagon, right? And then he either goes plus, like this, or he either goes diagonal like that. What's important here is the warning sign is actually smaller than the shape of the map. So you actually have safe spots in between these warning signs. It's actually very small, so you can't really, it's not an ultimate safe spot, but it's good enough to dodge. So if you're in the middle, it's actually hard to dodge things. So if I give you guys the order of operations on this particular thing is when he disappears, when he moves around like crazy, you will have 1 explosion under your feet, right? 1 explosion under your feet. Everyone gets an explosion under your feet. So you dodge that, you put it somewhere else, and then you move. And you can stand on either any of these positions. And the exact position is on the map, actually. You see these symbols on the map? These little pointers? That's the safe spot in between it. So you can kind of click, or you can kind of right-click the spot, and you can kind of to move it over. So you see I'm standing right here, right? It's because I right-clicked it. And then I drop the poop, and then I just right-click here, which is the other pointer. You will see the pointer on the map, by the way. You right-click there, and then you're going to be safe for most of the attacks. In Lostark, warning signs have an endpoint and a starting point. Endpoint has a hexagon at the end. So this is the endpoint of his dash, right? Same thing. This is the endpoint of his dash because the effect of the red is hexagons. This is the same for every single raid. So these 2 spots is the guaranteed way to have the highest percentage of dodging. This is also another mechanic that kills everyone. Causes a lot of resets. So he charges up, he stabs, and then he creates 2 back laser symbols for all characters, all players. And he will spawn a bunch of spikes around the map, and each spikes do 30,000 plus damage, and I'm 1630. And by getting hit by a couple of them, you have to use a potion or something like that. But these spikes move around, and then they do hurt. So dodge the spikes first, and what you do is this mark will be the safe spot of the yellow attack. For example, the yellow attack is going to be here, like a Pac-Man. Pac-Man attack, right? So if one of us is actually facing this way, all this is going to be in the middle, and you're gonna kill everybody. So, so you just have to make sure that you auto attack outside. This is a special pattern, and this is a very easy one too. It's a good DPS pattern. You might want to save your buffs and like atropine if you want to. So what he does is he stabs himself and he creates an orb. The 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock is reflect damage. All you need to do is do DPS on the orb, and then when you do all the DPS on the orb will get back to him because we're reflecting the orb back to him. he does get damage, and then he'll be stunned for a while. So make sure you save like a semi-strong skills on the orb, and then you do your full cycle when the boss is down. But if this particular orb, this is like a small DPS check. If this orb reaches the end, it's a map-wide explosion that will usually kill most on-item level players, and it will also knock you off. This is one of the normal patterns I do want to mention, is he will fly up in the air, and then you'll see a symbol on the ground, the brown symbol. When nobody is inside this brown symbol, he does a different pattern, which he just like slashes everywhere, and it's very, very annoying. You don't want that pattern to happen because we rarely see it. The reason why we don't see that pattern at all is because this is we execute this pattern properly. If anyone is inside this blue a brown platform, he's going to stab in, and then it's going to be an inside safe explosion. And if you're a gunlancer, this is tauntable. So this is another normal pattern. He will charge up his sword like this, and then he will do a Virgil charge, like a Virgil slash charge. So this one, it has two variations. He dashes fast and then leaves a residue of like sword slashes. He will do a shoulder charge and grab people along the way. So in particular, this one, he does this attack, and this particular attack explodes afterwards. So you can't chase him. Never chase this guy, because this explosion here, it does a lot of damage. And since we're a normal pattern, we still talk about normal patterns, and this is another one. He does triple slash, right? This is a triple slash. He aggroes to one person, he smashes it, aggroes to another person, smashes it, and the third smash is always the fan shape, and it does a lot of damage. But this doesn't knock you off, right? And this is the regular breakdance that happens. That is not the minigame one. It's just orbs, right? And this is also tauntable, by the way, to cancel it. The minigame one, you can't taunt it. So, like I said about the normal pattern that he does like a Virgil slash, you see his animation is a little bit different. He's kind of holding the sword up this way. So this one is, one, it can be counterable. Two, sometimes it's not counterable. So the way to find out is, this is the shoulder charge version. He will shoulder charge, and it will grab anyone in its path. If he doesn't grab anybody, it's going to be an inside safe explosion here, like this, like in a wave. But if it grabs someone, the after attack is going to be like L'Oreal. The L'Oreal's wave, it's going to be like that. To figure out if this is going to be the shoulder charge version or the counter, is obviously the counter one is going to glow blue. The shoulder charge one, it can't be tauntable. This is also a good example of a normal pattern. So he will stand still, and then he'll create orbs, right? These orbs will be aimed at one person, and it will explode. It will follow, and it will explode as a line. And then it will also create two circle explosions, right? This pattern is important for gunlancers because this pattern can be cancelled. However, if you already see more than 4 orbs appearing, it's a little too late. But if you see only a couple of orbs, you can cancel it so that the additional orbs will not land on other players. So this is another normal pattern example. So he creates a bunch of like stacked up red attacks. Don't do DPS and get out of it, because if you get hit by his red attacks and get vacuumed in, he's going to stab you like this, right? He's going to stab you like this. And if you get grabbed, he's going to launch you off. And if you're unlucky, he might launch you off over here for a fall death. So all these red patterns, it's good for you to dodge them. I guess we'll talk about this too, because this shows up here. So if he does a stab attack, if it hits somebody, right, he will do the follow-up attack, which is either inside safe or back safe. So going over for some more normal patterns that could potentially kill you, is you see this ring. This red rings, like I said in the very beginning, these rings, if you get hit by him, he does additional attacks. So in this case, this small red ring, if you get hit by it, he does an additional laser blast that is yellow. So look at this here. So since I got hit here, right, he will turn to an aggro, which is me, and then he will fire a yellow laser. And this is the other special pattern. He will charge up, and then everyone will have pizzas on them. This is the pizza from the same pizza from 110 line, 160 line mechanic. And when the timing is exactly the same too. And then when the timing reaches out, make sure you space bar out. And this is an explosion. If you get hit by it, you get rooted too, right? And these lines here, it's kind of hard to see. if you get hit by them, you also get rooted. So you need to free them by attacking them. You don't have to be worried about getting shotgunned after, because the next attack is center save. You see that? So unless you're right in front of him and rooted, you're not going to die. Because if you're right in front of him, you might get shotgunned to death. But if you're like just about in the middle-ish range, even though he aggros to you for the follow-up attack and you're rooted, it's not going to hit you. All right, so let's talk about counters here, because counters are super important. Whenever you see a fan attack that he does, just think about that he's gonna do a counter, because most of his counters are fan attacks, and most of the counters are when he holds the swords a little bit up above his shoulder. So when you see this fan attack, that's when he does a counter, right? And you counter him. Okay, and the second counter that is very important is this one. So what he will do is he will slash, and there'll be a double fan shape, a very large one, back and front. This is a 100% counter, right? And he will always counter. This doesn't have internal cooldown. So when you see a double fan, this one is a counter, and if you miss this counter, he destroys platforms. So this is a counter you must land. And I think that's it. That covers everything. I basically covered everything that causes wipes. Hope you guys liked it, man.